All right, guys, so today we're gonna be going over the banded barbell hip thrusts. We've done hip thrusts before. I'm gonna go through all the relevant setup and execution cues, but I really want you guys to understand how to do them properly with a band and why the band makes such a big difference when you compare them to perhaps doing them traditionally. So I have Serene here, she's gonna help me out. What I'm gonna have her do is put the band on her thigh so that it's around both legs just above the patella, right, or the kneecap. So there's going to be a little bit of space here between her kneecap and the band. You can probably see the bottom of her quad, right? Now, before I give her the barbell, I actually want her to get up into position. She's gonna use her elbows to kind of push herself up, right? The bottom of her scapula or shoulder blade is going to be making contact with the bench. Now from here, and I always want to do this before we introduce the load or the weight, I want to find out where she's comfortable. So if you're watching at home and you're trying to figure this out, I'm going to give you some cues. We're going to find out what works for her, but everybody's body is different. Everybody's legs are different lengths. So I'm going to give you the best places to start, but don't be afraid to play with it to find exactly where your feet need to be. So step one, before she even pushes into the band, is I want her to be pretty comfortable with vertical shins and her chin tucked. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow her to fully extend her hips, right? If her head goes back, her brain's actually not gonna let her hyperextend her hips because your body has a protective mechanism. It doesn't want you to bend your spine like that. So keeping your chin tucked not only engages the core, but it lets her posteriorly tilt the pelvis or push the pelvic bone forward and really get the glutes. So once we've got that set up, we look at the band, right? I want her to push out against that band. We call that abduction or abduction, right? Sometimes you say abduction and adduction to be clear when we're talking to other trainers or like clients, because they can get confusing. So she's gonna abduct, push away, and reach full hip extension. Now, the band and abducting into it has now got her gluteus medius and minimus firing. The hip extension piece where she goes down and up like this gets the gluteus maximus firing. So unlike the traditional barbell hip thrust where we get mostly gluteus maximus, now we've got the other two going as well. So we have the whole glute complex firing like crazy. Last piece we want to look at is her feet. Are they pointed straight ahead? Are they internally rotated? Are they externally rotated? Again, you can play with that. Do whatever's comfortable for you. I think she's comfortable here with her feet pointing straight ahead. So now that we've got that set up, it's time to incorporate the load. So I'm gonna have her come down and I'm gonna show you guys how we set that up. So some common mistakes and problems a lot of people run into when they're doing hip thrusts off of a bench like this, they might feel their quads a little too much. Now, something you wanna be aware of is, where's the angle of your shin, right? So I'm gonna have her go out into an exaggerated position here and do a hip thrust. Now, what you'll notice is she's got quite an angle here. That's gonna definitely increase the activation of her quads because she's getting a lot of knee extension and not as much hip extension. But when she pulls those feet back, right, and she does the reps this way, she'll get a lot more hip extension and it kind of neutralizes the knee extension piece. You feel the difference? Cool. So if you are feeling it here in that quad, I need you to mess around with the position of your feet a little bit to try to lock in on that vertical shin. You'll know you're doing it right if you're feeling it almost entirely in the glute and the outer portion of the glute here. If it does move into your quads, I just want you guys to stop. The last piece, and she's actually doing it right now, is a tempo piece. Just hold the top position, okay? A lot of people rush through it, show them what that looks like, where they just kind of, they don't hold that top position. That's where the glutes are fully contracted. That's where they do all the work. So hold that piece, and once you've got all that locked in, then it's time to add in the barbell. So let's get into it. So a little trainer tip I have for you guys is to get your hands on one of these bar pads. Now, we're not gonna use it today, but as you get heavier or stronger with your barbell hip thrusts, these are kind of nice to have because to do the exercise properly, we need the bar to line up directly over what we would call the line of force or the direction the glutes move. So it's gonna be right over your hips. And if you get strong and you can move a lot of weight with these, that barbell is going to dig into the pelvic bone, hip bone area, and it can get a little uncomfortable. So make sure you get your hands on one of these. We're not gonna use it today, but it goes right over the bar like this, and it just kind of pads the hips, and it's a nice thing to have. So now we're gonna talk setup and execution for the banded barbell hip thrust. We've got the band, like I've said before, right at the base of the quad, right above the patella, just a little bit of skin poking out, or a little bit of yoga pant, I guess, in this case. She's going to get the barbell even, directly over her pelvic bone, right? So it's right in alignment with the glutes. We got a little bit of a taller bend, so again, she uses the elbows to get into position. As she gets up, I'm looking for a few things here, right? Chin is tucked, rib cage is down, that's beautiful. That makes sure that we can, again, hyperextend the hips and maximally contract the glutes. She's got her feet where I know she likes them. She's abducting a little bit, right? And her grip, how she's supporting the bar, a little bit outside shoulder width, so she can, again, stabilize the bar. Now from here, she's going straight down, and then she thrusts upward, extending the hips fully as she abducts. So at this point, gluteus medius and minimus are engaged constantly as she pushes away. The gluteus maximus relaxes as she goes down and contracts fully as she comes up. So I love this movement because, again, all three glutes are working. Here's another bonus tip you can do that I love. Say she's hit fatigue, all right? We're gonna let her hit the bar back down to the ground. She's done with the set. She's gonna get rid of the bar, and she's going to continue the set immediately with body weight. So this allows us to add more volume to the glutes. She's still abducting, and what's really nice about this is pretty safe, right? So it's body weight, her glutes should be lit up. Now, once she's completely done with that, she's still not done with the set. I'm actually gonna have her hold the top position. Now we're switching. So instead of having the medius and minimus hold the isometric, the maximus holds the isometric, and the medius and minimus, she's gonna pump out as many times as she can. And that's gonna fatigue the outer portion of the glutes. Once she's gassed out there, I'll have her take it to the ground, and we're gonna call it a set. But within that, she's done barbell hip thrust with a band, body weight hip thrust with a band, and body weight hip abduction work. And she's probably fatigued all the fibers of her gluteus maximus, the upper fibers, the central fibers, and the gluteus medius and minimus. And if you're looking to build your glutes, this is a great way to do it. You can do the band work standalone on any training day, but on your lower body days, I love banded hip thrusts, especially if you work them in to what we would call a mechanical drop set like this. And a mechanical drop set is just a set that gets easier as it goes. How'd that feel?
Great.